muted and everything. All right, here we are. Hey everybody, welcome to tea or coffee with Chi. It's great to be here with you all. Sorry about last week. Things just kind of piled up and I needed a little space. Just want to make sure you can all hear me well. That is the point. Seeing, not hearing, hearing, not seeing. So we are here, gathered together, dear folks, and for the purpose of self-exploration. There is a destination, a goal to this whole spiritual inquiry thing. Satsang plays a part in that. Now, I know there's a lot of spiritual or non-dual teachers who love to say, there's no goal, there's nowhere to get to, there's nothing to do, there's the path is, the journey is the destination and all that. And it's true, but it's not true. This is about self-realization. And until self-realization has definitively, that's the right word to put, definitively occurred, and when it does, you'll know it. Until that time, we are most definitely on a path towards a destination. Now, the language of the destination, you're there and you see that you've never gone anywhere. You know, you cross the ocean and you get to the other side and stand there and realize that's exactly where you started. But that's the end of the destination, and that's the language of the end of the path. It is not the path itself. So it is, non-duality includes both. It isn't just, yes, there's nothing here, it's all an illusion, even though it's true. It is also this honest, sincere, earnest seeking of the self-realization. And the entire process we have to go through as human beings as just kind of part of the, you might call it the soul's journey, if you like. It doesn't matter what name you put on it. Self-realization is the truth. It's knowing yourself as you actually are, which is confusing for a lot of folks. But ask your cat. Ask your cat. Who or what are you? And you'll just meow, because that is being absolutely authentic and in touch with its own true nature. Now, you'll also notice in a lot of spiritual practices that there's a huge emphasis on recognizing what you are not, which is the path. We have to go through this because we human beings have the extraordinary and unique capacity to form an image of ourselves in our minds that is in fact not you, but simply kind of a subset of what might be you, combined with a whole bunch of stuff that was just made up in order to, for the whole body-mind mechanism to function within the particular environment that you grew up in. All of that makes up the sense of identity that we're all very convinced is me. This is who I am. And even when you get to that point in your spiritual growth where you are committed to the path of seeking, of wanting to know who you really are and that it matters to you. At first, there will always be this underlying assumption that somehow this you think you are is going to be the one that is self-realized. But of course, because it's just an image in the mind, and it's not actually who you are, it can't possibly self-realize. Because it's not the self. It's not you. They're habits and programmed responses and attitudes and beliefs and enculturation and all sorts of things that have created this fictitious version of you that we have mistaken for ourselves. Even the path, and it's a good path, a very good path. Most of us have probably been through it, wherein we progressively get better and better. We get more compassionate, we get more kind, more loving, we get more receptive, we get less reactive. We really develop a very high moral, ethical character and sattvic qualities. If you don't know what that word means, it's very high qualities, right? You're not somebody who's partying all the time, getting drunk all the time, or really attached to pleasures and consumption and all of that. You've really gotten to a point where basically you've improved the human persona as best you can. But that's not the path. That's actually known as the progressive path. And obviously there's nothing wrong with it. It's very good. But for me, and especially I think in our modern world, it just takes too damn long to finally get to that point where you're ready to engage with that which will take you to the ultimate, and that is the self-inquiry that leads to self-realization. Not a really good improved version of you, version 5.8 or something, but the real you. The one that was there, that all of the conditioning and beliefs and programmed responses surrounded and hid from the world and from yourself. And because you're constantly, and because it is constantly active, and and you don't even know who you are. This is what makes the journey difficult, because there's subtler and subtler and subtler levels to this that we work through, that the progressive path can take you to, can make you less reactive. Energy healing, the way I use energy healing, can make you less reactive, much more functional in the world. You take away the reactivity, and you find that there's this love there. There's a very natural compassion. There's a sense of wisdom even, that just is kind of there, and that's a hint of who you really are, of the real self. It's kind of the perfume of the self. But there's still very much a sense of an identity, a person, a me, that is this one who has been walking this path. So even the identity of a seeker, as lofty and significant as it is also something that needs to be eventually seen through, because that too is identification with a set of behaviors, a sense of self. Self-realization there's no more of that. You know yourself directly. You know the truth of you. And the truth of you doesn't need to practice. It's not walking on a path to the truth of you. And so it's a marvelous, subtle, engaging, and necessary path to walk, wherein we become increasingly sensitive and aware of subtler and subtler and subtler realms. You could call them states of consciousness. But the key is recognizing that, very simply, if you can perceive it, it isn't the real you. So it becomes subtler and subtler levels of seeing, oh, I can see this subtle activity of the sense of identity, which I was totally identified before. Since I can see that, I'm not that. This bumps up, obviously, against the question, well, then who am I? But if that question is asked too soon, the habit energy of the mind and conceptualization and programming and conditioning will want to answer that question. Because if it's true that if I can see it, it can't be me, then it's also true that what I am cannot be seen, even by me. And with that perception, that recognition, all of the human knowledge accumulated over years, all of the practices, everything we've known about ourselves is just set aside, because none of it is relative. All of it is based on the perception we've had of ourselves, which is something that can be perceived, which isn't you. And I want this to be very practical and not conceptual or intellectual, because a lot of people turn this into a philosophy, because it is very interesting. It's very engaging to me. Oh, this is fun. I could talk about this. And you end up with a version of this that sounds good, but has absolutely no power over our sense of suffering, and in fact will lead you away from who you really are. Because if it's a concept of it, well, then it can't be me, because I perceive it. So what's doing the seeing? What is actually right down to the bottom? This is an infinite recursion. I can see it, I can see it, I can see it. There is an end. There's an end goal. There is a place where this cannot go any further. The ground of being, the root, the real self. And it's discovered and realized through the seeing and the looking, till you find that you are the seer. You are the one looking, and all of the subtle ways in which the sense of being a separate self, person, a body, a mind in the world, in the universe, is no longer, it's not active anymore. It's clear, there's an energy there, but it doesn't touch you anymore. Because you can see it. And once you see that, there's nothing left to see. You're it. You're free. And the world is still here, by the way, because it's then that you begin to see that all of this is yourself, because the sense of a separate self is no longer present. So everything, your human life, becomes precious, sacred, but also no attachment, because it's a constant transformation. It's just going to go on. And everything becomes you. But do not try to get to the whole oneness thing through your mind. This path is one that it seems kind of strict and precise, because it is, but it's also extremely compassionate and loving and gentle. But stay with it, persist. If I can see it, it can't be me. Can I see myself? No. Can the eye see itself? Does the ear hear itself? Can a scale weigh itself? You cannot see yourself as one thing sees another. You can know yourself directly, non-dual. Knowing yourself, not because you're perceiving yourself, because you can't, but because you recognize that I am the one doing the seeing. And that recognition is not two. This is the heart and soul of non-duality. All right. I will leave it at that. I've chattered on for long enough. Hello, everybody. Once again, the floor is open now for questions. This is an interactive thing. But and just a word of warning, I will be always pointing you back to here, away from comments or concepts to your direct experience of that you're having right now. Because believe it or not, you are the self, the ultimate absolute ground of being right now, and always have been. You are experiencing that right now. Always have been, always will be. But the mind says you're not, that you're something else trying to get there, and we believe it. So it's not like you're going to now experience yourself. You are right now. It's just covered up. It's obscured by the sense of being something other than yourself, which is just these collections of thoughts. Hence the practice that is at the heart and soul of non-duality and this path. So, got off on it again. Hello, Rosario. Hello, Roberto. At home. He's at home. Well, congratulations, Roberto. Wow. There's Rosario. Savvy Stecker. He-to-you. Namaste. Ava. We can hear me okay, I guess, because the mic just seems to be out of adjustment a little bit. Okay. Ava. Oh, there's Ava. David and Elaine, my friends. Lisa, my newest member. No. Was the newest member of the Self-Inquiry Sangha. Now it's Jeannie is now. Yeah. I think there's some more on their way. So Nawaf, hello to you. Good evening from Saudi Arabia. Look at that. Wow. Fantastic. Fatima. Hello, Fatima. Hi, G. Is there even the I? Maybe there is really no I, no I am, no identification, etc. Feels great to me. I mean, it feels great. Perhaps there's no one in particular who feels great. Okay. Now I'm going to point you back to the direct experience because I sense that some of the things you're saying are because you can feel the truth of them in your heart, but there's also some, non-dual doublespeak going on. And I want to clear this up. Okay? The ultimate I, the self, the God, the absolute, the ground of being, right, is the only self, which makes it the only I. Right? But now, it and you, your own experience, you do not have to say I or I am to be, do you? You're there first, before there's any manifestation of it, any vocalization of it. It's just being silent, empty, boundless, timeless, spaceless, no dimensions. But the nature of this absolute is love. And so, like the sun just shines because that's its nature, the self emanates from itself because that's its nature. And the first thing that appears, I am. Obviously, the recognition of myself, that I am. Even though I don't need the recognition to be, the recognition is there because of the very nature of being itself. And so, in the Hindu tradition, you have the language of Sat, Chit, Ananda, which means being, consciousness, and bliss, or love. Put it that way. So these three are one. They're not. It's It's the triune description of that which is beyond description, because it is one. So the absolute being and the I am that emanates from it are coexistent. It's not a time. It's not I'm absolute and one day I decide. Right? It's the nature of it itself, and it says I am. This is being and consciousness. Without being aware of being, the awareness must be aware of itself, because it's aware of absolutely everything, and it's the only thing that actually is. So being and consciousness are one. Your knowing and the one known are one. It's one and the same. If I was and there was no consciousness at all, there's no awareness, it'd be like, a cup or something like that, right? Just, it wouldn't really be existence, wouldn't it? There'd be no being. And being conscious without existing is obviously absurd. You can't have that. So the two are one. Now, our minds can't grasp that. They cannot grasp oneness. Our minds, by definition, need two. So concepts are no good here anymore, right? Yet we're using concepts to point to something that is beyond concepts, and that is the oneness between the absolute, in which there is no I manifest. It is the I as just being, and the I am as the firstborn of that, which is simply the absolute knowing itself. From that comes all creation. Everything is I am. I am, I am, I am, I am. From that arises the I am this or that. I am. And the first thing that arises, the first thought that arises, this is what Ramana referred to as the I thought, as opposed to simply the raw I am, which is simply self-recognition, with even no words. No words are necessary either. There's a sense of you exist. You know that you exist. What knows that it exists? Right? Well, the absolute, of course, you, being, because you are. You would have to be to have any recognition. So the first I thought that arises is, I am the body. Now, prior to that, there's the full manifestation of the universe. But no I thought. Arises the I thought, and what happens? The I thought, I am the body. And in that, right then, simultaneously arising, simultaneously is the I am, the body, and the body. Prior to that, the body doesn't exist. Without the body and the line of demarcation, the boundary we call the body, which doesn't actually exist, now you have a world, you have a universe. It all arises simultaneously out of the I am. So it's zoop, from the absolute to the pure I amness to the I. So the I am the body thought is Maya. That is the great illusion. That I am has no independent actual entity existence. The pure I amness prior to that, right, is a sense of existence. It's dependent upon actually existing. So it, in its essence, does not have absolute existence. All of it arises out of the ground of being, which we have to call the self. But all of it's included in that. Right? You see, this is non-dual pointing, because you have to just keep looking. So you are experiencing the sense of I, aren't you? The sense of Fatima, who was born at a certain place, having a certain experience, now is very committed to discovering who she really is, right? And looking at that I that I had prior to that actually thought was me. But now I see is a sense of me, and something in me here has spontaneously, reflexively identified with form. And so the process, as Ramana Maharshi said, go back the way you came. It's a turning around and go, well, that's not me because I am perceiving it. And this is how you begin to break down all the places where we've been identified with. Right? So it is not enough to simply understand intellectually, oh, there's no I, there's no identification, it's all an illusion. It is all true. But it's a very different thing to see that directly to the point where you're free of it. And it's a mistake that a lot of people make. And the reason, and that mistake, not just for the people who just kind of cling to it intellectually, but to people who become exposed to it and go, this is nonsense. This isn't, this isn't helping anybody. And so what is your experience? So I always come back to what is your experience? Right? Now, you are experiencing your own existence, your being, are you not? I think that's self-evident. And within that, because you are experiencing everything else. So everything you experience points back to the simple, pure reality, truth, I am, I exist. And now you just start becoming much more sensitive. You start looking for all the places where that I am thought was I am this. I'm not realized. I don't get it. I wish I could be better. Right? Wait a minute. There's the I am. Now that doesn't mean we throw away. This is important. Throw away. Oh, I don't have to be better then. I can do what I damn well. Please, hurt somebody, take something, doesn't really matter. It doesn't exist. Ooh, you're building up a storehouse of karma that's going to bite you in the ass. But instead, it's like, right, there's the ethical part of it, yeah. And in fact, the more you see this, the more you don't have any desire to hurt or take advantage. But you also face human life and the fact that sometimes you have to. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what, I can't be in this relationship anymore. I don't really like this job anymore. I know I committed to doing this, but, it's, and I'll do it, but, let's talk this over. We have these that have to be approached in a very practical way with love, all the while recognizing that all of it is being perceived. All of it. This entire dance in front of us, this entire part that we have to play is itself not my reality. And you just keep stepping back, stepping back, stepping back, stepping back. Receive, receive, receive. Oh, I see that too. So that's not me. And I'm the one seeing. So, I don't know how better to kind of break the whole thing down, which we have to do so I can point to it. But it isn't something that's broken down. It is one thing. It's not even a thing. Is that helpful, Fatima? No, it's better to say, like you said, there's no one I'm no one in particular. Right? And that's easy to understand. I've had some people in my EFT training grasp that, who aren't, doing the spiritual, the non-dual pathway. Oh, now I get it. It's a flow that I'm always assuming new forms, new identities functioning in life, but I got stuck somewhere in some of them because they had to be assumed. They're not actually me. So when I'm with my granddaughters, I'm grandpa. I'm not spiritual teacher. I'm not sitting up there, telling them there's no you. I'm nothing like that, right? Or is it when I'm with my sons or the people around here that I live? I'm not that. I'm forever becoming that without becoming that. The forms take shape, they engage, and then they dissipate. And that's the nature of life. The form itself is innocent. It is what the sense of the person I am that identifies with the form. And now the form somehow is me. And a lot of people studying non-duality think that, in order to get rid of that, I need to get rid of the form. The world's got to go away because it's all an illusion. No, it's not. It's the self. The illusion is thinking it's not the self. Everything is the self. The self is not a person. It is the infinite ground of being. I'll leave it at that. I'm sure, let me just see if I thank you. Part of me understands, but definitely not through the mind. Good. Stay with the heart part. Stay with the heart. Yeah, stay with the sense of something inside you knows the truth. But look, mind's not an enemy. Right? Okay? We just can't use the conceptual mind for self-realization. The mind is a part of the deal. The mind is also a manifestation of the self. We just can't. But it gets disconnected from that. Wisdom comes to the mind, not from it. So we're using the mind right now, aren't we? But we're using it in the best possible way. Not to question the very concepts that make up the mind. So it's a matter of looking. Learning to look and see. Everybody needs to be a part of my self-inquiry sangha. Where we do this every Wednesday in depth, and I can actually work with you going back and forth, so I can spot the subtle things that I just can't get from here. There is my, I think, if anybody here is in it, I think it's, okay, I want to see if this actually works. To see if this is the right. Now I will click on it. Oop. Yeah. That's the right one. I posted it as a comment. Just one second. I'll hide it. Geez, look at that pretty picture of me and stuff. I didn't see that before. I think that's it. Can somebody just check that out and make sure it gets to the page where you can join that? Because I'm not 100% sure that's the right link. It's in the comments as well, so you can just click on it. So, let me go back to where I was here. Shafi, tired of searching for happiness, contentment, and peace. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to manage every aspect of my life just to feel better. I started on this path with the promise of ending my suffering, using that as my guiding compass. But the more I try it, the further I seem to drift away from it. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Yeah. We make ourselves miserable looking for happiness, contentment, and peace. We do. Isn't it strange? Yeah. The process is seems to be so painful. All right. Here's what I want you to do. Very simply. I want you to, everybody can do this, right? Just close your eyes for a moment. Right? Don't have to, but recommend you close your eyes and take a couple of breaths. Right? And just for a moment, just for a little bit of time here, I want you to set aside all of the searching. Right? Say, I'm really tired of this. Just set it to the side. Set aside everything about about your practice, about the path, about what you've been doing. Just put it all aside. Take it up later if you want, but for right now, just drop it. Don't engage with it. Now, if you've been doing it for a while, which seems you might have been because you're exhausted of it, the habit energy of looking for the answer and that process that's really in the body, not just in the mind, it will continue to be wanting to look for something. And when you notice it, just don't log into it. Don't engage. Just say, thank you. I don't need you right now. Just thank you. And just bring your attention back. Back to the body. Just your own presence. And everything from the past. All the struggles you've been through, the pain you've known, the suffering, the disappointment of a path that's supposed to ease suffering, actually increasing it. Just, okay, I know that's there. I'm not going to ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist, but I'm setting it aside now. Just say, thank you. Don't need you right now. Just set it aside. The whole quest, the whole spiritual desire to self-realization, for enlightenment, set it aside. Just thank you. I don't need you right now. Just drop it. And what's left? What's still here that hasn't been dropped? That can't be dropped. Maybe there's some ideas of what you want to get right now, who you are right now, what idea we have of ourselves and what our life's about and what it's for. All that too, just so there's nothing left, totally empty, stripped away. Just gone. Not throwing it out, not saying it's bad or good or anything. No judgment, nothing. Just, I have chosen not to participate for a little bit, not to engage. That's it. Turned off the radio. I'm put in the other room. Yeah, I'm still playing, but I'm not listening right now. And what's still here? So whatever's still here is something that can't go away. And of course, you're still here, aren't you? Just the quiet sense of your own being. You're still here. But you, with nothing additional added to it. Now just putting your attention on that. Just that. Right? Is there suffering there? Is there ambition there? Is there struggle? Right? And the body will still be active, right? There's sensations going on. Obviously, you're hearing my voice. The heart's pumping, breath is going. All of that's there, but you're just standing back because it's fine. Life can go on. There's movements, there's energy and the like. But just you, not engaged, just the pure sense of your being. Is it in pain? Is it struggling? You can even look and say, is there any beliefs there? Is it concerned about enlightenment? Any of that? Are there any boundaries or borders? Does it have an end? Or does it have a beginning? Now notice, I'm not putting any ideas into your head. Matter of fact, I've invited you to just take them all out for a moment. No, there's no trance. This isn't an altered state of consciousness. It's simply looking directly at yourself without anything extra added. And are you suffering here? Now, when you say something like that, the mind may present a picture of you and your suffering that you experienced in the past. Say, okay, that's just a picture. That's just a picture. And if I don't log into it and start working with it, trying to change it or fix it in any way, if I just leave it as a picture, am I that? Am I that suffering, struggling, striving person? And without that picture, me, just as I am I suffering? And notice, it's very quiet here. It's still. There's no form there. There's no person. There's just presence. Remember at the beginning I said, who you really are is not something that can be perceived. It's just this presence. This is you. It's that simple. It's that direct. It's you. Now, I invite you back out of our little meditation here, but you can see that the practice, the real practice, is to keep coming back here and reminding yourself, that's right. I get pulled into identification with the form and suffer because I think I'm trying to get somewhere, to some state or something, but there isn't one out there. This is it. I'm actually being pulled away from me. I don't need concept of enlightenment or any of that stuff. It's just this. Now I'm going to ask you to take a breath and open your eyes. But notice, you don't ever really leave this place. You're not actually not that space anymore. It's just now attention is turned outwards and there's more information coming in, but you're still here. You're still here. Always. With or without the thoughts, with or without the engagement, with or without the activities, you are still here. And just be with that. Everybody just be with that. It's such a direct and simple real thing to recognize. This is realization. That's who you are. And because of the way we've been trained, we keep looking for who I am as some form, some shape, some character, some persona. But who you are isn't a form. It's real. You're here. It's very real. It has the experience of being of the human, all of it, the beauty of it, the love and all of it, all of it. The whole realm of the whole polarities of opposites of human experience are being experienced by this pure, empty self. That's what you are. Everything else is what you're experiencing. Notice it didn't take 30 lifetimes or 30 years in a monastery, because it's right here. It is who you are. And always will be. It can never be lost, except in imagination. So the practice is disidentification, disidentifying with with the form, and seeing the form is just the appearance. You are the emptiness. Okay. Positive Patty, I haven't seen you in a while. Hi. In the book I Am That with the Maharaj, he never mentions the word God. Love you to elaborate. I don't remember if he mentioned. He has used the word. In fact, he says you should worship consciousness as God. That with the I Am arises the universe, arises the creator of the universe, which is the I Am, which is God, which even in the Jewish tradition, which became the Christian tradition, God identifies himself as the I Am. But the absolute is beyond even that, which Maharaj was always speaking from and pointing people to. Right? So remember, these are words, right? The word God is kind of has to be reclaimed, actually, because it's been very distorted by very primitive and a lot of religions that are seeking, that are more cultural. They're about substantiating the culture as being something, as being an absolute rather than just something we humans made up. And as a result, it becomes, the servant of empire and the and all of that kind of stuff. It's very primitive, very first chakra kind of thing. And so for that, God is the other, the all-powerful other that created us. And now the essence of religion is to have a relationship with him here, but it could also be a her. And that's what the word came to mean. But if you just look at it, Joseph Campbell said, God is the ultimate metaphor for the self. So what is God? Just the absolute, the ultimate, right? Beyond which you can't go. The ground, everything. You can use it as that. That's the way the Sufi mystics would use it. They would refer to God as that. But God alone exists. Right? So it becomes a word pointing to that which alone exists, which you yourself know, because you know your own existence. During that little meditation we did, where you could not go beyond it. You were the existence, the ground of being. Boom, right there. That's God. But because of just the distortions of the egoic mind, right, God became something other than that, because it can't be me. That's the sense of a separate self. I am the body, comes the world, comes religion, comes all sorts of things come out of that, none of which are real, none of which are true. All of them are imaginary. But the people who use these words, the Christian mystics, the Sufi mystics, the mystics in all traditions, the Advaita Vedanta and Buddhism and the like, the word became reappropriated. So I didn't use it at all for a while, just because of the incredible amount of overhead it has here in the West. But now I'm kind of more on a mission to reclaim it for the good of all. It's a fine word. It's a fine word, but you can use absolute awareness, pure consciousness, the self, the absolute reality, that which is, um, Buddha nature, Shiva being. They're all words pointing to the same thing. They're all reflections on the lake pointing to the moon. And remember that which it's pointing to, what God actually represents, is the real you, with nothing extra added. The ground of being beyond which you can't go. What is that except the ultimate? God, the absolute. So, so, if that answers it for you. Paddy? Every time I say your name, I want to say it in an Irish accent, positive Paddy. I just want to. Can't help it. 99 Sanchez. Good evening, GP. So when I was 99, and now you're 25, was it past life? Then something. So when I was 99, I had a huge Kundalini release, and my heart expanded and felt nirvana for a week. Then the tornado came, and since then I have been rejecting emotions. I'm 25. Yeah, that's so very common. Yeah. Because we think the bad emotions are a problem. We have to get rid of them so we can get back into the extraordinary experience that we just had. But let me ask you a simple question, Sanchez, 99. Prior to having that experience, it wasn't there, right? Then you had the experience, and then it was not there anymore. Can the truth come and go? Can the truth be false one day, true the next, and then not true after that? And now notice, when this experience, felt as nirvana, elation, ecstasy, bliss, came, something saw it, recognized it. Something saw it. It wasn't there now. It is there now. And now it's gone. Something saw all of that, right? Did that come and go? And let's say a bad emotion came. Or maybe you said emotions. Maybe it's even a good one, right? But maybe a bad one. Suddenly you feel suffering, grief, pain, anger, right? Don't they all too come and go? Now what's watching them come and go? You are. Notice you're not coming and going. This path is not about ecstatic experiences because they come and go. I've had them, lots of them. And just like you, I wanted to get hold of them. And I thought I had to get rid of my, transcend the body and emotions and feelings and all of that. And boy, did that make me miserable for a very long period of time. But at least in this path, that's not the object. Because if I am dependent upon some particular extraordinary experience, state of consciousness, in order to be fully myself, then I am not free because I'm totally dependent on it. And I will be happy when it's here and miserable when it's not. I am its slave, and I have no control over whether it comes and about it coming and going, which is what we then seek to do. So this path is notice that which is there when there's an ecstatic experience or when there is a miserable experience. that doesn't come and go. And when I identify with that, this is who I am, and I am seeing these things come and go, I find the real nirvana. Nirvana is not an ecstatic experience. The word nirvana means extinction. It refers to a flame, right, that runs out of fuel, just goes poof. It is this pure emptiness that is seeing, in which there's no suffering. It is peace, but not an emotional state. It is simply absolutely quiet, silent, and unmovable. That's the real you. And it is not about any kind of, no matter what the experience is. And you cannot get through life without having both the ecstatic experiences and the horrid experiences. When you see that neither of them are you, and they're just happening in human life, and you neither resist nor desire them, you're free. You're free of them. And now you have transcended them. They can be there. They can come and go. There's no more fight with life. An emotion comes, fine. Hi, welcome. Good to see you. But there'll be no reaction to it. There'll be no clinging to it. There'll be no trying to push away the bad ones and hold on to the good ones. That's gone. You're free. And this is what this path is about. And your mind might go, yeah, there's nothing there. It's boring. Oh, is it? No, hardly. Because all of life is still there. All of it is there. The only thing that's missing is the suffering, because the suffering comes from the clinging. Right now, you're clinging to the experience of nirvana and feeling suffering and thinking, and you're averse to it. You're pushing away all the emotions because you think they're getting in the way. They're both experiences. They're both bound by time. They will both come and go. When you know that, and you recede back into this place that transcends them, you're free. That's the real bliss. That's the real ecstasy. It's not emotional. And you'll no longer be hurt or harmed or benefited by any experience. It's just an experience. And you see from here, this place, it's pure love. It's pure openness, pure whatever comes, comes, whatever goes, goes. And the most beautiful thing about that is that no matter who comes into your life, you accept them and love them. This is what Christ meant by love your neighbor as yourself. Nothing against them, no matter how despicable they may seem. Right? You are nothing but love. So thank you for that question, 99%, but I'm still confused by you being 99 and 25. Can't be both. Yes, is me, but I don't know what I am. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can't know as an object. But in the meditation we did, didn't you know yourself? You were there, right? The struggle we have is our mind keeps wanting to turn that into a thing I can think about. But the moment it becomes a thing, it's limited, isn't it? I've just put a boundary around myself. I'm this, which means I'm stuck there. But if I'm not that, but it's okay. It's a form that is appearing right now. So right now I'm the teacher on running a satsang on YouTube, answering questions. Right? In a little bit, what'll I be? Nothing. What am I? Nothing in particular. The form I'm taking is delightful. I am experiencing it. I'm not actually the form. I'm hearing these words at exactly the same time you are. And this is true. This is true. I don't know what I'm going to say next. The words just come. There's just a feeling, and just out they come. So no, you will never know what you are, because if you do, you're limited to it. You just be. I understand, but also don't accept it. I resist if life, love. You resist it, yeah. Okay, well then look at the resistance. Oh, I resist it. Okay, fine. Let the resistance be there. Don't argue with it. Oh, I got to push it away. Nothing. Push away nothing. Absolutely nothing. Being in resistance? Okay, let's be in resistance. Let resistance come. Notice it's not there all the time, is it? Comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. Yeah. When I teach emotional healing, which I'm doing right now, I've got a new class starting using EFT. It's the same thing. I don't use the non-dual language. I use the language of psychology and energy healing and trauma and that sort of thing. But it's basically the same thing. Let go of resisting what's here. Because the thing that creates all of our suffering is a resistance to what is here. And then identifying with somebody who's either got to make it go away or get really, really good, really transcendent and become enlightened and all of that, which is all just mind stuff. All you have to do is be present here with it. And notice that in any given circumstance, something's going to come up in experience, and you're going to feel it. Now, what we don't see, and this is is that something comes up in the experience, which is just an event in life. And no event in and of itself has any meaning or anything. And then what happens is something else arises that we don't notice, because it's very subtle, that says, oh, I want more of that. Or I like this. I don't like this. Get away, get away, get away, get away. That's something else. And it's so subtle we don't catch it. We become that, form a relationship with this, and now suddenly this thing has meaning. I've got to get rid of it. It's terrible. I got to get enlightened, or I've got to tap, or I've got to, I don't know, whatever. Got to see a therapist. But we don't notice that too is an energy that's being seen. Are you following this? When you see that, oh, so there's me, which is the ultimate seer of all this. There's the event happening in life, and then there's this other stuff happening in between that I haven't been catching. And whether I'm doing energy healing and the like, or I'm teaching pure non-duality like I am here, that it can do the same thing, because all it means is let go of the position that you're in. Eventually, if you get the right degree of emotional healing, you'll gradually just fall quite naturally into this other place that's beyond just the sense of somebody trying now to disidentify with this part of it. That's where all the levels are. Right? Down there. So I hope that's clear to folks. Let me give you this email. Oh, come on back to comments, everyone. If anybody is interested, is that right? In my emotional healing class, which is starting. I'm going to start the first live class next week, but they go on for a while. Next Saturday, if I can get agreement from everybody on the day. At school.co. Yeah. Dart is. So I've just kind of discovered over the years that there is a very deep and important correlation between emotional healing and non-duality. Simply that the state of mind of our modern world when people are exposed to non-dual teaching, because the context hasn't been properly understood, because it's just been some YouTube videos and got their mind interested and hasn't actually been taught to them by a real teacher, the tendency is to receive it in the way we receive everything else. The mind's context comes into the mind. It looks like yet another way to become free of my suffering, another technique for improving myself and not suffering. The import of it gets missed. And I find that a lot of people with emotional healing, self-help, they hit a wall. They can only get so far because they now need to take the next step beyond emotional healing and beyond self-help, personal development, psychotherapy, and all of it to the dimension of self-realization. So it goes both ways. I've kind of settled in now to teaching that kind of a bridge between those two things, which just was obvious, needed to be done. So. All right, let me go back here now that I'm done with my promotions. And let's see. Okay. Tiffany. Hello, Tiffany. Hi, GP. So overwhelmed with feeling disconnected from my true self, fully aware that this isn't me, trying to be a loving witness while suffering from rejecting myself. This is so overwhelming. Okay, somebody else who needs to be in my self-inquiry sangha. If you email me, I can help everyone to whoever I talk. I do like to talk to people because there is a bridge between this, and sometimes people need more just emotional freedom, and sometimes need more just good teaching. On the non-dual side. So let's do this. So overwhelmed with feeling disconnected from my true self. Okay. First thing, just let go of the idea that this has to take a lot of time. Okay? Something I've got to fix. It's a long journey, 30 years in a monastery or something. There's a feeling I am being disconnected from my true self, right? There's a feeling. There's a belief I am disconnected from my true self, right? Okay. Who's seeing that belief? And who's experiencing that feeling? Somebody else? Right? Is the self on this side of the lens? Who's experiencing the feeling of being disconnected other than the true self? Only the true self feels anything. Do you understand that? Only consciousness is conscious. What you're conscious of is not conscious. It is not self-aware. It is not sentient. So a feeling doesn't feel itself. The thoughts and the beliefs, they're not thinking themselves. And without you, they don't exist. Poof, they're gone. So who's feeling it? Who's experiencing the sincere effort trying to be the loving witness and experiencing the suffering? Who's experiencing that? Who's the seer of that? See, what's actually happening is there's a very subtle thought there that says, I am separate, right? And until I can get to the self, this is the experience. I've got to get to the self. It's so overwhelming. Who's seeing that? Is it something other than the self? Somebody else? Is there somebody else in there along with you? Can I speak to her? It's you. This is the simplicity of it. The last thing our mind can admit is, I am that. I'm the one seeing. But because I cannot be seen, the mind rejects it because it needs an object. I need to see something here, right? And when I do, then I won't be suffering. Right? Until then, I'm going to see I'm suffering. I must not be the self. Right? And the sense of suffering, which is just experience, plus a sense of identity that doesn't want to experience that, equals suffering. But who's suffering it? The infinite self cannot suffer. You cannot suffer. Suffering is an experience that is there, which is an interpretation of the experience by a sense of identity that does not want to feel that. So that sense of identity is suffering. That's the sufferer and not you. And you experience that when you recognize that you are aware also of the sufferer. And because I'm aware of it, I can perceive it. It isn't me. Damn it. Did that link I sent before, the self Sangha, did that work? I could actually check real quick here. Hold on a second. My own school. Yes, that is actually the right one. Yeah, I'm going to do it again because, okay. I'm self-promoting here, right? Because it is a paid class. And it's $47 a month. We meet four times a month, right? It's less than the cost of one private session with me. And it pays for this, by the way. But what I found, and why I'm actually saying this stuff more, because I was really shy about saying it before, is that what's missing today on this path for almost everybody I've encountered along the way is teaching. Actually, somebody who can walk you through it and point things out. Most all of us learned about this. Well, yes, most of us learned the whole non-dual thing and about non-dual teaching and the like from the internet, from YouTube and like, which has been great. But without an actual teacher guiding you, the mind will interpret what's being taught to it from its old context. Coming to see the context, the lens through which it's being processed, takes more than watching some YouTube video. It takes some guidance, somebody to work with you, somebody to look together with, right? Not just, and it doesn't, and that working doesn't happen in the mind. It's all how to look, right? Without a story, without the history, without context, but to actually look directly. That's what this is all about. Right? So I urge everyone to come and join the Self-Inquiry Sangha, where I can do that for you. It's on Zoom, right? And because I couldn't, the subtler levels that I'm now so aware of, I see them everywhere. I only got because I had a teacher. Period. I would not have gotten them without it. Yeah. So, on that note, I will just leave that to the side. And man, I went through my coffee fast today. Yeah. No, we take a break while I make more coffee. No, it takes time. Okay, Scott Wendell. Hello, sir. You say we know everything. I think you may want to differentiate that from our limited incarnated knowing through our senses and experiences. Okay, yeah. If I did, Yeah, that's so easy to take out of context because you say to somebody, I know everything. First off, it's arrogant because you don't. um, and secondly, it's not possible, right? Because human knowledge is just on and on. Because there's an infinite number of relationships between all the things that are in the manifest world. It's more accurate to say I know nothing, but even that's misunderstood because from the perspective of the minds and what we think of as knowledge, it'll be I'll be an idiot, some kind of dummy, right? And it's not that either. It is, but the self knowledge, to know myself. I can't know myself as an object, as one thing knows another. Knowing, coming to know myself directly, non-dual recognition, me knowing me, not as one thing or another, but the fact that my knowing and my being are one, opens up a dimension of knowingness, even in our human life. So we tend to see the essence of things. Any subject that pops up, you can see the various levels on which it can be understood. Right? And at every level that you transcend to, until there's the ultimate, which is beyond all levels, you can always see the levels you came from. Right? You may have been through calculus, but you can sit down and teach arithmetic to a child. I walked both of my sons through long division, even when they got so frustrated. They'd pound on the floor and they'd run over the couch and cry, and I'd wait and come on back, let's do it some more. Now I've actually even done some with my granddaughter, making the second rounds about it. Right? If you know quantum theory, you can teach differential equations. You don't lose anything, but there's a point of transcendence in which all of it, you see the common root of absolutely all of it, and in the intricacy of the relationships between things. So it's a different kind of knowing, spontaneous, intuitive understanding. But knowing everything, no. It's just the essential, knowing yourself. And that's really all we need to know. I want to know me, because liberation is there. Carl, hey GP. Hey Carl, how do I make a decision where I do make a decision from without feeling the pull to return to form, identity, or personality in order to do so? Who is the one deciding in the absolute? Well, remember, all decisions going through life are part of the manifestation of the absolute, which is pure emptiness, which is just absolutely beyond all form, which is what you actually are, the absolute you, pure you. Right? Within our human life, there's the experience of, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go that way, right? Now, you can just recognize that there's a sense of someone making a choice, but there isn't actually somebody making a choice. Right? Because what happens? And this is the real experience you're having, right? Just asking you to look carefully now. Yeah, you have to make a decision. There's, let's say make it simple. Go this way or that way, right? One of the two. And I'm not quite sure which way to go. Right? No, you say, I'm not sure which way to go. But what's there's just this sense of your own presence and awareness. And playing out in front of it is a sense of two directions and another sense that this life needs to go in one of those two directions. All of that is being seen by the Absolute. All of it. And it goes back and forth for a while. And then at some point, one of those two directions gets more energy going to it for whatever reason. I mean, whole thoughts are coming, all sorts of things. And at some point, this one fades away, and enough energy is going in that direction that your life starts to move in that direction. And then there's a thought that said, I decided that. After the fact. It's the circus clown. The decision is made, and then it says, I decided, right? Which is just a thought. Right? There's no I that decided it. Like the circus clown, the acrobats perform, the crowd jumps to its feet in a standing ovation, and the clowns come out and take a bow. It had nothing to do with it. The I that says I did that had nothing to do with it. Just another. But because we're identified with it, whenever the mind says I, something in us says that's identifies with that. Right? That's what you got to catch. We think, I made a decision. How do I make a decision? How do I make the right decision? Right? Well, that's always hindsight, isn't it? If I go this direction and it goes the way I want it to go, right? I say I made a good decision. If it goes where I don't want to go, I made a bad decision. In fact, this one may actually lead you to a better place, and eventually, I made a good decision. So you can see, you get all tied up in knots. Who's deciding? Nobody is deciding. Life is deciding, you could say. The manifestation, the totality is deciding. The universe is deciding, not a person, not this, not this one little thing, this one little thought, the whole universe. You realize that nothing happens at all unless the entire universe does it. This is all acting as one. This is all one manifestation. Just mind-boggling detail and complexity and interaction and like. You following that, Carl? So let go of any thought of making a right or wrong decision, because there's no such thing. Right? And when you have to make a decision, when it's time to make a decision, just be with it, just like I said. What I show people how to do, especially when I do energy healing, is to just sit in the middle, right, as the peacemaker, and just let both sides kind of, play together until something comes up. Another thing I've done is just, go back and forth. What does it feel like going this way? What does it feel like going that way? And at some point, one will have more energy behind it. Right? Now, all you've done is created an environment in which the decision could happen, and nobody's actually making it. I want to explain this in such a way that it doesn't sound so esoteric and nobody's deciding, right? Because I get so tired of that kind of non-dual silliness. Brent, Brother G, I can't get to the Wednesday Sangha link to work. What? I just tried it. I wonder. Hold on a second. I wonder if I put in the wrong thing. Hold on. I could very well have made yet another. There it is. Yep, I did. Okay, everybody. I'm sorry. https omschool.ca/SANGH. COs are for the COs are for the, let's put it down the bottom. There it is. The CO is my email. Sorry, it's CA. Technology. Do it all myself. See if I can get 1,000 people into some of these courses. I can hire somebody to do this for me. I won't be so frustrated every morning. Well, not frustrated, but I pretend I am. All right. Got it? Got it. Let's see. Where are we here? Feeling disconnected to something. Did you say something? I think you said something later, Tiffany. I find myself in a state And it feels like a state of waiting, watching to finally come back to myself. Yet it awaits me, and only then can I be free and experience my desire. Yeah. Whose desires are they? Let go of them too. I don't mean get rid of them. I can't have desires. That's just a very tragic and dead wrong interpretation of all of this. The desires will be there. That's life. Right? But the presence or the fulfillment or absence of the fulfillment of desire will have no effect on your well-being. Then life is lived freely. Because desire is going to be there. Of course, I desire to do this, right? But what happens if I can't? I'll miss it and let go of it. Because what else can you do? Because everything comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. Right? Notice in that state that we went to during the meditation, you weren't waiting. There was no waiting. Waiting for what? I'm here. Waiting, again, is a sense that arises when there's a subtle identification with the seeker on a journey. Of course, you can't stop that. It has to happen. Okay? It has to happen. But you can watch it with love from this other place so that you're both engaged in human life and beyond human life at the same time. That's true non-duality. Yeah. Hello, Ms. Nay. Forgot to say hello to Peter. Hello, Peter and Ida. Happy Sunday. First, I want to thank you for all you do. Oh, you're very welcome. It is my pleasure. I've been tapping along with your videos a lot recently. I am not, and I am this present moment, have really helped a lot. A thought came in the other day saying, this isn't working, which I nearly believed and realized that I'm able to recognize that it's just a thought and the mind isn't me, was proof that it is just a thought. Beautiful. You've mentioned that the mind can't exist in the present. I've been experiencing a lot of backlash from the mind since awakening to the truth of all there is. As we progress and are grounded in being, does the backlash pull of the mind become less intense? Or is it that we are so accustomed to being that the pull mental chatter doesn't affect us? Wonderful, wonderful question. What happens is that that sense of a pull becomes increasingly obvious, but it is subtle. It seems like you're kind of going down further and further to levels of how subtle that pull is. In fact, that pull is so subtle that it cannot be detected. It's absolutely silent. It's kind of like the black hole in space. You cannot see it, cannot detect it, because the gravity is so powerful, not even light can get out of it. So it can't be seen. It cannot be detected by our senses. They were discovered and theorized about because it couldn't be seen. But there was this strange effect happening on that which could be seen that couldn't be explained by the gravity. So this thing was theorized, and then eventually, there was the discovery that they really existed, this thing called black hole, which is just this incredibly huge gravitational pull that influences things, but itself cannot be seen. There's one at the center of the Milky Way galaxy in which we all happen to be hanging out at this present moment. So it's like that. Raman has said of it, like a spirit, impalpable, the I thought arises. And when I say the I thought, we think I, the I in my mind. But he was pointing to something, a spirit, impalpable, which means it cannot be detected by the senses of the mind. Well, how the hell do you detect it then? Well, at first you see its influence, and then eventually, whoops, camera froze. This happens. It hasn't happened in like 3 days or so. Yeah, I'll be back. Not to worry. Then what happens is you begin to feel it, sense it on a completely different level. Yeah. Oh boy, it's not coming back. The sense of the person, the reflex, the pull to identify as form, right? You become more and more sensitive to it. And with that, the pull becomes less and less. It's not because the pull is becoming less, it's because it's being so clearly seen that there's nothing in you that responds to it, identifies with it, and gets pulled in. But you also recognize that the one who's being pulled in is also seen. That the self can't be pulled in. There's a sense of self. It gets pulled in. The self is never not self-realized. Okay, something really went wrong now with this. Give me a minute, folks, to see if I can sort out my little problem here. I'm going to mute myself for a second. I'll do that. Alrighty, I am back. Technology. Love it. Yeah. So anyway, Ms. Nay, is that making sense? To everybody. I mean, our growth, our spiritual growth, is simply a growth in sensitivity to the subtle, the most subtle. Because it can be, all of this can be detected. Why? Because you, as you actually are even more subtle. You're so subtle that you can even perceive space, empty space, and you can perceive it. You are the most subtle of all, the pure self, the absolute. Right? So it's not a matter of the sense of I becoming better at seeing things. It is you, the being, looking more and more carefully and discerning more and more the subtleties of I can perceive it, it can't be me. And eventually it right down to rock bottom, which is you, the ultimate perceiver that cannot be perceived. But being and knowing are one. It is known, but not as a perception. Simply the reality of your being. Is this clear, everybody? Wonderful. I don't know what is. Yeah, I think I answered that. Okay. Thank you, G. It's so sad I can't do Wednesdays at the moment. We'll join as soon as I can because it would help to talk. I get that. Thank you. Much love. Well, there's also email me at homeschool.co/tapping because I have a tapping class going that I believe is going to go on Saturday. It seems like many people in this cannot be there because there's the emotional healing part as well, and many of the people who are in the self-inquiry sanghas started in the tapping side of it. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Very important. Yeah, I know that as that grows, that I may have to have it on do it like maybe twice a week on different days, which is okay. If I get enough people in there, fine. Because really the training of emotional healing and the self-inquiry sangha is pretty much the only thing I want to do going further. I really, I had over 100 courses out there at one time, and I chopped them back so far that a couple of people say, hey, I need that, right? Okay, so I'm leaving them up there. But really, this is the focus. Emotional healing, non-dual self-inquiry, and the bridge between them. This is my focus now. So, did you guys get into the link? Did the link work? Because I gave you the wrong link. Is it all work? Tell me again what time the sangha is, please. Oh, I do it on Wednesday. It's at 11 my time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, and 2 p.m., which is 7 p.m. UTC, right? Which is 7 p.m. in London, 8 p.m. like around France, Germany, Spain, Portugal. We get further east and it becomes like 9 p.m. Obviously that's regular time. It's different during daylight savings time and all that. So are you guys able to get CA instead of CO? Did you get it? So that's what the time is, Tiffany. I think you're in London. I think you're in England, right? I don't miss my guess. I used to keep track of all wherever people are and their names, which would mean it'd be like 7 in the evening for you. Let's see what else got going. Thanks, it would be 8 p.m. in Switzerland, my time. Yeah, so that might work for you. That very well work for you. Did the link work, everybody, this time? Let's see. Yeah, I would have been blocked or something. It would have been weird for them. Thank you. It's upset tapping. Okay, and then let's see. Why would the universe have made so many crap decisions on my behalf over the past years? Before waking up to this, I had the same question. Until I realized that the decisions were all leading me here, but I was trying to make decisions that would lead me there. The problem was my sense of identity still had an idea of what this ideal perfect life was supposed to be, even what enlightenment was supposed to be, the whole deal. And I said, well, what's going wrong? What's going wrong? The whole time, all the decisions being made were, in fact, taking me exactly where I needed to go. Because if it had gone my way, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys right now. I wouldn't be able to help you. I'd be looking for somebody maybe on YouTube to help me, or maybe I wouldn't even have any interest in this whatsoever. Or I started out just playing music, wanting to be a rock star. Had that worked, right? And all the decisions that got made, which made it impossible, if that had worked, I wouldn't be sitting here. And could have postponed the greatest gift a human being could get from me, for God knows how many more lifetimes. Grace, thank God. I'm saying thank you, Lord, for this disastrous life. So without it, I would not have found you. Or you would not. Yeah. So the decisions that are being made are of grace. They are taking you where your deepest desires want to go. Not the superficials, not the desires of the false sense of self, but the deepest desire of all, which is to be free and to know myself as I am. Yeah. Nick's the goat. Hello, Nick's the goat. Such a relatable question. Thanks, G. Would be the link worked. Yay. What time in LA? Same as my time, 11 a.m. Yeah. Yeah, you're on the same time zone as me. It does make sense, says Mrs. Snake. I can sense the mind trying to make sense of it, kind of overthinking it. Yeah, this is one of the things that happens. Because we're used to using the mind, right? This is what I keep saying. The teacher is so important because we've all been taught to approach things through the mind. We think about them, right? Rather than look. Mind doesn't make any sense out of, I'm just going to look here, right? And it cannot process at all the idea that merely being the seer of something, one who reckons I see it, is all that's required for this to transform. It's, oh, I see it. What do I do now? Right? Meditate more? Right? Tap more? Do I need psychotherapy? Do I need to learn yoga? Which is more of the same, right? That's the shapeshifter taking a different shape. That sense of a person, which is just a sense. It's not even a person. It's a sense that takes shape. And it can't take a shape in and of itself. The form is there because that's a manifestation of the self. So it has to grab onto a form that's actually there. When that's finally seen, you see that the emperor has no clothes. The shapeshifter has no shape. It's just an energy. And then that's perceived. And then, I don't need the mind. Matter of fact, the mind can't go here. It's my looking. I'm just looking. And there's no concepts here. There's no ideas. There's no thoughts, right? I mean, right now, you take something very simple. You feel your hand, right? Your hand's there. You can feel it. Is that a thought? No, it's not a thought. And I can think about why I'm feeling. Why you asked me to feel the hand? What's all that? That's all thoughts. You see a beautiful flower in the park and you go, oh, wow. Is that a thought? No. Pure, direct experience. But then, very quickly, you'll be, wow, what a beautiful flower. It's so gorgeous, man. I never saw this before. Do you know what kind of flower that is? Maybe I can look. Let me take a selfie with it, right? And go. Maybe they have some, at the grocery store. I can pick some up. Now it's thoughts. You see how quickly we go from direct experience to thoughts. This is a path that just takes you all the way back to the experience itself, the experience of being. And then you find that the one that is experiencing being is the same one that's been experiencing all the rest of it. And that is the self, and it sees everything else. And then thinking, which has its uses, gets put over here. And we use it when we need it, and we don't use it when we don't. We just kind of said lots of thank you. I don't need you right now. And everything then you actually begin to see that even thinking is a manifestation of the self, and it's part of the deal. And the mind becomes the manifestation of the self. The mind, the person, the ego, it's all the self, and has been the whole time. So you're very welcome, Ms. Nay. Yeah, you may want to join the Sangha too. I'm going to keep pushing this because I know it's necessary. Carl, thanks, G. I wish Grace wasn't so slow. I ain't getting any younger. Well, yeah, true. You ain't, right? So who said Grace was going slow? Remember, it brought you right here. For this conversation between you and I to take place, Grace brought you here. Just recognize it as grace, and that you are not actually having to make the decision, and then let go of any attachment you have to where the decision leads. Let go of any sense that, oh, that was a bad decision, I didn't want to go there. Throw that all out and say, grace decided. I mean, when you really give it out to God, when you totally give it out to God, here, you take it. You let go of it. From that moment on, and of course, we have to, surrendering is an ongoing thing. It's not one and done. It's like, I surrender this. I surrender. When you really surrender it, right, then you accept whatever happens as God's will. Yeah. Can you send out an email with links I can't find on your website for new tapping class on Saturday? I would like to sign up. Okay. Let me say, on this story of surrender, I love to tell this story. Those of you who have heard it, perhaps you'll be patient with me as I tell it yet again. I don't know if you're familiar with the character of Rama, who was like the first major avatar in India. And an avatar is a manifestation of a god. So it's actually a God-man. It's kind of like the way they said of Jesus that he was both God and man, and that sort of thing. Very similar kind of thing. It's a human being leading a human life, doing all the things that human beings do during a human life. But he's a god. At the same time, he's God, manifesting as a human being. And Rama's got his whole story, and it's a big part of the Hindu tradition. It's a beautiful story. Okay? But anyway, it's a very long time ago, and in Rama's particular human life, he was, before he became king, and all sorts of grandiose things happened. But he was he was a hunter. He was a woodsman. He was out all the time, riding on his horse, bows and arrows, and the like. So the God-man, out doing his God-man thing, he's out one day, and he stops, gets off his horse by a stream to refresh himself a bit. He sets down the bow and he sets down his arrows onto the ground, and he sits down by the stream and he relaxes, maybe takes a little nap, gets some water. Well, it's time to go. He gets up, he's picking up all his things. He picks up one of the arrows, and he notices on one of the arrows, the tip of one of the arrows, there's a little blood. Sits it down and brushes away the leaves and stuff is there. And there's this tiny little frog, this little bitty frog. It's with a wound in his head and it's bleeding. And Rama picks him up, holds him. Remember, he's a God man, right? He holds him. He says, little frog, you're hurt. Why didn't you cry out to me in your distress? And the frog says, Lord, I always call out to you in my distress. But when you cause the distress, to whom do I call out? I accept it as your will. It's such a moving story, because as long as I've got some idea as to how my life should go, I'm always going to question it. Well, no, God, you're supposed to be taking me over here. That's it. Surrender, surrender, surrender. You are surrendering to your deepest desire of all. What is behind all of our desires? To be happy and to be free. That's our real desire. We just believe that I will experience that if I get there. But the moment I say, I will be happy and free when I get there, I am now sitting in suffering, right? I'm not happy because I'm not there. But if you say, I'll go wherever. As the saint says, what do you want? Whatever God gives me. Happiness is right now. Because I'm there. I've done it. I'm happy and I'm free. Now again, when I use that word God, there's a sense that it's somebody outside leading us. Where it's leading us to is to realize that who we've been surrendering to has been the reality of our own self the whole time. And that happiness, freedom, love, compassion, these are your nature. But there's always a sense of separation, right? Surrender brings closer and closer until, what do you surrender? You. Completely. The false sense of you. And now you and what you were surrendering to are one. Okay, I will send out an email, yes. Oh, Jay, I forgot. Hey, G, earlier today I was feeling this pull to engage in thoughts, and as a matter of fact, it felt more comfortable. Yes. Is that because of engaging in that? Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's habit, of course. Guys trying to quit smoking feels a lot more comfortable when he's smoking. But when he's not smoking, there's a lot of discomfort. But if you're willing to endure that discomfort, knowing full well that that's going to be there, keeping your eyes on the prize, eventually the habitual energy will let go of that and begin to reorganize itself around you. It's just the flow of human life. So yeah, I want to engage in thoughts. I want to do anything other than be empty. Nothing. There's nothing here. Just be present with yourself. Is it time up yet? Yeah. Carl, I would just like to have been able to enjoy the journey. It's mostly been sad and filled with loss. The destination no longer matters to me. Thanks, G. Carl, come to my Sangha, please. Yes. You're not enjoying the journey because of the expectations. It's right here. At the beginning, right? We went there. How long did it take? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? It's simply because we've tried to engage on a journey out of the mind by the mind. That's it. That's why it'll never be discovered there. Because we have all these ideas as to what it's supposed to be. Those are what are sacrificed. You're sacrificing your suffering. Laying it up. But you can only do that when you know what the cause is. The cause is identification with something other than who you really are. Joseph, What do you think about getting a leather interior for a car? Well, you know, there's an interesting thing, in the Buddhist precepts, do no harm, right? And obviously, great. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love your enemies. Great. How easy is that to do? How I think one of the things that woke up humanity, one of the first awakenings of humanity, was realizing that I have to kill to live. Now, the cat catching the mouse isn't having that debate. The lion stalking the gazelle. They're not having that debate. Prior to this human history, we weren't having that debate. We just did it. Right? And then suddenly it was like something wakes up and goes, wow, all life lives by taking life. So how does that possibly square with the idea of do no harm? Well, it doesn't. Which means that these precepts of do no harm, thou shalt not kill, right, if you like that way, cannot possibly be fulfilled and live. Because even if you stop doing that, right, completely, well, you take your own life. It's like, this is the quandary of human life that has to be there, because it's that quandary, it's that creative tension there, trying to resolve the unresolvable, that leads to enlightenment. That's the journey. That's the whole deal. So you minimize it. You minimize it as much as you can, recognizing that you cannot possibly fulfill it. Try to find, shoes out there, shoes that are not just tennis shoes. And those have leather. They don't have leather on them. Try to find a car that doesn't have a leather interior. If you can, great. If you can't, you just don't sweat it. And remember, we live in a culture that doesn't know that, has not woken up to that, really. I mean, some of humanity woke up to it and then lost it when we got it. That's all. I could go into that whole story, but I won't. And it becomes an important moment for you personally when you look. Maybe, let's say you got the same car, right? This car you've always wanted, and there they are. One's got material interior, right? And one's got genuine leather, right? Which is beautiful. What can I say? It's beautiful. Right? Now you decide, right? And I'm not going to tell you what to do, because you know what? Our this behavior is not the thing that determines whether you awaken or not. It's your sincerity in the inner looking, in the self-inquiry. That's what determines it. But at the same time, living this life, how do I do it? I can spend months looking for some place to recycle batteries because you don't want to put them in the landfill. We live in a culture that is not conducive to this. It doesn't care. It's making plastic by the score, knowing that we're killing ourselves with the plastic that we've made. Right? This is the quandary we have to come to terms with in order to be able to address and to recognize that we're in a catch-22. There's no way out of this through the mind, through human endeavor, through human ideas, through human morality. There's no way out. That will just lead to another side of the coin. There's no place we can settle in. Which means, where's the way out? And something has to transcend it. And you are ready, you are ready now to transcend it. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be here listening to me. This awakening has happened for you. You may not even recognize it yet. And Nisargadatta Maharaj said, oftentimes when it comes like that, it's far more reliable. It seems as though it came that way for him. It wasn't a sudden realization. You hear about all sorts of, enlightenment stories that sound very grand to a lot of people. Right? We think that's what it's supposed to be. There is no such story for Nisargadatta. He didn't talk about someday event. He talked about just believing in his guru, doing what his guru told him to do earnestly. For 3.5 years, he simply said, and I realized who I was. That's it. No grand, nothing. Yeah. So we can even drop our expectation of some, glorious experience, right? Because if there is a glorious experience, and I've had them, a lot of you have, it's not here now. So obviously, that's not it. And so at that point, you'll be able to enjoy the journey as well as your car. Whatever you decide to do. And you'll find that over time, as you do the inquiry, right, rather than trying to make a moral decision, based on, should I do this? Should I not? I really love the leather interior, but should I be a vegan? That will become less and less, and there'll be just something inside that just knows, which is the true source of the kind of morality that can navigate the ambiguity and the double bind that is human life. So, Valerie, I'm happy and free. Yeah, good. Carl is in the Sangha. Yay. David and Elaine, deep thanks. Oh, thanks to you guys. Jay, thanks for your answer, G. Tiffany, what? I don't think that's a whole question yet. Tiffany, you want to sneak this one in before I call it a day and go eat something? Tiffany, what? Can't even hear the expression that's on that. It's like, what? There's something there. Maybe the question got answered before the rest of it got out. Yeah. I'll give it a minute. Anyway, okay, folks. Oh, was repeating your words. Gee. Oh, okay. So, yes. And this is really important because I'm happy and free. Here's how you approach that, right? It's not a mantra, right? It's not an affirmation to try to, it's an invitation to look, I am happy and free. I am. That is a manifestation. That's the perfume of my being. So if that's the truth of me, which I can sense, then the I am that is not happy and free can't be me. But yet identify it. And then what happens is, whenever you don't feel happy or free, you recognize, oh, I become identified with something. And that becomes the inquiry. Okay, well then, what is it in me that's identifying with that? Let me look and see. That's not the same as, oh, I'm not happy free. Now I've got to get more detail, another sense of self trying to fix that, even through spiritual means. Now it's, oh, somewhere in me I have identified with something more subtle that I'm not seeing, is identified in such a way that I'm experiencing a sense of not being free and not being happy. Okay, let me look. Show me. You can even say, show me what this is. Really turn deeply within. Yeah, that That's how you use something like that. So it doesn't just become a mantra, with your japa, or become an affirmation, for like, law of attraction or something like that. Ah, yeah, very good. Thank you. Valerie? I got to see the accent, so I guess Valerie Tara? Beautiful name. Jay, it's very much an experience path. Like when you mentioned about Buddha getting angry, I could see how the mind would take that and make it into an excuse to get angry. You get it now. It's a flow, right? It's like, I shouldn't be angry, right? Because I'm a Buddha now. Oh, I got angry. Oh, it's okay to get angry. You son of a bitch. I could see the choice between the stimulus and reaction. Have my own way of reacting that doesn't need to be extreme. Yeah, you can get into the middle way. The anger will come when it's needed, because it is needed in human life. Right? It's how we set boundaries and say, no, no, this is not acceptable. Right? But when it comes, does its thing, and it's gone. There's nothing attached to it. There's nothing that says, being angry is okay, I'm going to get angry, right? Or I shouldn't be angry. Right? That's the shapeshifter taking a different identity. And you see, oh, it's neither. It's there and it's gone. You're not holding on to anything. You're flowing with life. You are life. You are the flow. And what comes and goes, and has to come and go as long as there is human life. And you're not, you are simply have no argument with life. God is not at war with his own creation. Gee, that was an accident, G. Okay. Love accidents. They're great. Marty Hale, I am is happiness and freedom. The sense I am. Purify the sense I am. And it will fall into the absolute. Valerie said, of course not. I mean, of course not a mantra. Yes. No, I got that. I got that, brother. I got that. Yeah. I sense that, but I wanted to make that clear to folks because we've all it might not be something else could come up, and then we think like it's going to be a repeat. And remember, for a lot of people, that is their practice. Chanting a mantra. I am Brahman. I am the self. I am Shiva. Yeah. So. Jay says Gabor Mate's take on addiction is it's beautiful. I've learned a lot about that from him, which I teach in my level 2. Yeah. He's opened up a huge amount of doors. Yes, addiction is a bad thing. No, it's a solution. It's a solution to a problem. That's all. Don't ask why the addiction. Ask why the pain. That's from Gabor Mate. Now you won't be just morally judging somebody for having an addiction. And instead see, wow, this is somebody in deep pain. And this is the only avenue they had available to them to get some relief. And if we look closely, we see that's all our habits, that's all of our attachments, that's all of our mess ups in life. That's all of our misery and suffering is our attachment to the things that were really just a compensation for the original trauma of not being able to be yourself, right? Which is now contributing to the discovery of who you really are. And on that note, I will take my leave of you. The yelling in the house where I live is going to start soon because the Seahawks are playing today at 1 something. And what is it now? 1:13. Yeah, the game's just started. So the yelling will start soon. I live with a bunch of guys who are sports fans. So perfect time to bring this to a close. So thank you all. I'm going to look directly into the camera. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Everything that's been shared here today is in you. Don't think it's something you have to hold on to. Remember what he said. Don't worry about any of that. This is all in the hands of grace. It's discovered through grace. It is, grace is moving all of this, all of it, and you can't stop it. You can't speed it up and you can't slow it down. But if you can just surrender to the fact that by grace we are saved and not that of ourselves, lest any man should boast. When I look at the path my life has taken, all I can say is thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's like, wow, what a gift that in this lifetime, to be exposed to this from a real teacher. Couldn't have planned it, couldn't have worked it out, didn't even know it existed, wasn't searching for it. Grace says, tap Johnny's shoulder, come on, come Greg, we're going home. So, on that note, all my love to all of you, and I'll see you soon.